Welcome to the session on training methods. All of us agree that for effective learning, trainer should possess the relevant subject matter, and equally important is his or her ability to transfer this subject matter to the learners using different kinds of training methods. So in the learning process, we all understand that two M's are important. First M stands for the subject matter, and the second M stands for the methods, the training methods that we use in the learning process. Let us now see different training methods. You all may be aware of different kinds of methods like lecture method, group discussion, demonstration or role plays. Now all these training methods can be classified in different ways. First one is didactic and inductive method of classification. Didactic methods are more trainer centered, mostly one-way communication takes place and focus is more on seeing and hearing, that is the lecture method or symposium method. Whereas in inductive methods, the learners are mostly active and it is a learner centered approach wherein two-way communication takes place, and here the focus is not only on hearing and seeing but also on doing various activities. So this is called the inductive approach, and the examples are group discussion, syndicate method, role play, case method, exercises, project works, etc. The training methods also can be classified in another way using 4 Ds. They are delivery, discussion mode, doing and direct experience. Let us now see the methods that come under each of these categories. First, let us discuss the delivery methods. Lecture method and symposium method come under the delivery mode of training methods. Lecture method is the most commonly and widely used training method where the trainer assumes the major responsibility of delivering the content to the learners, and in the process he becomes very active and the learners have a very passive role to play. They are involved only listening to what the trainer says in the class. And lecture can be divided into 3 parts, that is first part is introduction, then body and the conclusion. In other words, you can tell them as tell them what you want to tell them, that forms the introduction, and tell them, that is the major subject part, that is the body, and then last one is the conclusion, tell them what you have told them already. So these are the 3 main important parts of a lecture. And if you look at the advantages of a lecture, it is mostly economical, and the trainer need not rely upon audiovisual aids, and it is very ideal for transferring the knowledge level contents. Along with the advantages, there are also some disadvantages. That the major disadvantage is that mostly it is one-way communication where the trainer is very active and the learners are just passively listening to the lecture, though they are sometimes involved into discussions. And another disadvantage is that trainers tend to use the old notes and which may become obsolete after some time. And the last disadvantage is that it heavily depends on the trainer's ability to speak and his vocabulary level. Another method of delivery mode of training is symposium. Here in symposium method, different scientific articles are invited and each speaker presents his or her own findings and different viewpoints. One of the advantages of symposium method is you can get different viewpoints in a short span of time, and limitation is that very short time is there for discussions among experts and the trainees. As you can see in the chart, apart from delivery mode of methods, there are other methods, and the importance of these methods is that these are all called participatory methods. Research shows that adults would like to participate in the learning process, and then only the learning process could be effective. So in discussion, doing and direct experience methods, you can see that the participants are actively involved in doing various exercises and various activities. Now let us discuss briefly about these participatory methods also. Let us first discuss the discussion methods. As you can see in the slide, discussion methods are as follows: brainstorming, buzz method, group discussion method, syndicate method, panel discussion method, case discussion, workshop, seminar and conferences. All these come under the discussion methods. First one, let us discuss the brainstorming. Brainstorming method focuses on creative thinking among the participants. The trainer has to choose such a topic which can generate many ideas, many thoughts and bring about the creative ability of the participants. Here the trainer introduces a topic and then invites different thoughts from the participants. The ideas and thoughts are first stated and they are analyzed for their merits, and then finally they draw some conclusions and conclusions and solutions for the problems. This method is ideal when you want to get different kinds of ideas on a particular issue. Buzz method is very ideal in management trainings, and here the trainer introduces the topic and then he divides the groups, he divides the participants into different groups, and then within the classroom or within the training hall itself they can be divided into different groups, and then topics are given for them to discuss. Here all the small groups will be discussing and a buzz kind of sound comes in the classroom, and this method helps even the silent members to speak in the groups, because there is they don't feel any threat to speak in a smaller group, and informal atmosphere is created in the training hall. And there is a time restriction, there is a limitation that only 10 minutes or 15 minutes time is allotted to groups for discussing their views, and this method cannot work alone in a session because it needs to be clubbed with another session like group discussion or lecture or any other method. Next one is group discussion. In a group discussion, first the trainer introduces the topic in a plenary session where all the groups are meeting in the training hall. A small lecturette is given for introducing the topic. Then the groups get into their independent group rooms or within the training hall if the space is sufficient enough, and then after the groups work independently in their respective groups, they again come back into the plenary, they present their reports, and then trainer also adds his or her own inputs and summarizes the presentations. And this group discussion method is very useful for generating different ideas among the groups and adding trainer's own input. It has the advantages like all the participants can participate in group work, and free flow of exchange of views takes place, and members respect each other's views and builds on ideas. And limitation is that there is a tendency for few people to dominate in the smaller groups, and then this method could be applied only for experienced participants, not for the newcomers who get into the service just then. The next one is syndicate method. The process is more or less like group discussion method. Here the advantage is that an in-depth study can be made to provide solutions. For example, how to increase the milk yield in a particular district, whether to improve the nutrition practices or improvement of breed or health checkup. The participants need to provide the suggestions as to how the milk yield could be increased in that particular district. And the advantages associated with this syndicate method is that in-depth study could be made and all the members actively involved in the group discussions. Disadvantages is that only experienced participants can participate in this method, and sufficient amount of literature and library reference needs to be done, and at the same time it is also time consuming. Next important method is panel discussion. Here a small group of panelists present divergent views on some issues which are worth deliberating. They stimulate interest and present different viewpoints. Example, usefulness of organic farming. Here you can invite different speakers from different fields like agricultural scientists, extensionists and practicing farmers along with some industry people. So different views can be taken from the different speakers, and participants may not come to any conclusion at the end of the panel discussion. Here you can, advantage is that you can have different views of different experts, and whereas disadvantage is that it is very difficult to get many experts for the session, and sometimes trainees also may not be able to follow the discussions or the different viewpoints that are being generated in the discussion. Next important method is case method. It is basically used for developing analytical skills among the participants. An event or a situation is narrated or described around a specific problem. This prompts the participants to decide what is going on, where the problem originated and what led to the problem and what needs to be done or the solutions that need to be given to address the problem. Here mainly the focus is on analyzing the factors that contribute to the problem and how the problem solving skills can be developed among the participants. Advantage is that you can analyze a problem from different angles, so the participants get different kinds of views and how to look at same problem from different angles, and the limitation is that it is time consuming and sometimes non-availability of good cases which can be discussed upon, and trainer also needs to have the expertise on using this case method. Another discussion method is workshop. Here small groups of people meet for a short period of time and concentrate on a defined area of concern. The purpose may be to inform about some messages or problem solving. The specific advantage is that participants work with full involvement to produce something concrete and that is practically useful in the field, and the disadvantage is that only very experienced people like top and middle level officials can use this workshop as a training method. Next one is seminar. It is a form of academic instructions organized by an academic institution. It brings together small groups of experts for recurring meetings, and each time they focus on a particular subject. And the last one is conference, and which is more or less similar to seminar, and here also the discussions dominate the proceedings. Now we will come to the doing methods. In a role play, participants are given different roles and they enact the roles and learn from the role plays. This kind of method is mostly used in management trainings where the trainer wants to focus on some human relations or behavioral skills. As you can see in the slide, 3 or 4 participants play different kinds of roles and the remaining participants sit down and observe the role play. And some topics like leadership, what is the best leadership style, or how to manage the conflicts. So these kind of topics can be taken for role play. Here the trainer calls the enacting participants outside the classroom and explains the roles, and the participants come back into the training hall and they enact the roles, and participants get the learnings by observing the players who are playing the roles. Advantage is that we can understand the behavior of oneself and also others, and this role play can be used where no other method can work. Limitation is that participants feel shy to play the roles, and sometimes lack of accuracy in depicting all the complexities that arise in the workplace. Next one is method demonstration. A method demonstration is an action charged presentation. It is quick result yielding, and informal approach and direct approach is there, and trainees gain confidence because they are also practicing some of the skills in the class or in the field situation, and it is the best way to impart psychomotor skills. Limitations are sometimes may simplify a real situation and generate false confidence among the participants, and it is just no substitute for the practical experience, and rehearsal is again and again is required. And the best examples are that if you want to emphasize on seed treatment or how to use fertilizer cum seed driller or groundnut desheller, these are the very common examples which we can use in method demonstration. Field visits is very important in training methods, and here in field visits participants get a breather from the classroom. They go out into the field and see something very successfully done in the field by the farmers or by a university or agricultural research institution. They get the direct experience interacting with the doers in the field, and the advantage is that, another advantage is that it relates the theory to the practice, and then retention is high because we are directly experiencing the facts on the field. Limitations is that it is time consuming, and cooperation of villagers and organizations is taken for granted sometimes. So, you need to make prior arrangements before going for a field visit, and tendency to take a nearby village by the trainers curtails you to get maximum learnings from the field visit. Next one is on the job training or attachment. That is, a junior, when he joins the organization, he is attached with the senior officer and he continuously observes him how he is doing different roles and then how he is completing his assignments, and he tries to make notes and follow the same when he has to do the job. Advantages are that it is mostly job oriented and juniors get motivation, and it is something like learning by doing, and limitations are there with this method also, that one has to depend on the supervisor's interest. If the supervisor interested, he will try to explain to the junior how to go about, otherwise simply the junior has to observe and learn from the supervisors, and sometimes it may not be systematic in nature. Now we have tried to look at the various training methods, and while using any of these training methods, the trainer needs to remember that there are the subject matter could be classified into three different types, that is subject that learners must know, should know and nice to know. Trainers must always focus on must know items and then followed by should know, and if the time permits, nice to know. So all these different kinds of subject matter needs to be transferred to the learners using different mix of or good blend of these methods. For further details on training methods, you can see the reading material that is provided to you, or you can also visit the managed website for PGDAEM notes. Thank you.